Hello there, and welcome to the A to Z of social entrepreneurship with myself, Nziki Mkize. I hope you've been enjoying this series. That if you simply had an idea when the series started, I hope that you further along with developing your idea and concept. And that moving on to the next stages, that you're growing your business or you've at least started. And I hope this content has been helpful, and I'm looking forward to getting into today's edition because I think it's going to be a goodie. So here we go. So in this episode, we're on the letter N, and for the letter N, I wanted to talk about negotiation. This is a skill that everybody needs. It doesn't matter if you are a startup, if you've grown your business, if you're scaling, if you're about to exit and someone's buying your business. It doesn't matter if you're employed somewhere. It doesn't matter if you're working full time and you've got your business as a side hustle. Whatever it is, we all need to know how to negotiate, right? And your ability to negotiate and how good you can be at negotiation can make all the difference when you're starting your business, especially when you're negotiating contracts in terms of payment with suppliers, when you're negotiating stuff with maybe customers or business partners. Even if you're negotiating contracts for, like, if you need office space, or if you're a retail business and you are renting a facility somewhere, if you're a manufacturing business and you're renting manufacturing space, if you're in the farming or construction space and you're renting implements and equipment, everything requires you to negotiate, and your ability to negotiate can set a really good contract in the beginning or a really rubbish contract that you might regret. So some things I wanted to share on negotiation, right? There's research on this, right? And the first thing is to set the price, right? Go in there, be clear about what your value is, what the value proposition is, and set the price for what the product is. And this is important because I think a lot of people don't want to say what the price is. People are shy. They might think like, maybe I'm asking for too much, maybe I'm asking for too little. I don't know what it is to do. Research shows that if you set the price, so if the seller is the person who sets the price, then that gives you power at the bargaining table. And they found that if the seller sets the price, then normally negotiations end up at a higher price. Whereas if the buyer sets the price, then negotiations often end up at a lower price. And you can think about this, like if you have ever been to a flea market and the person says to you, this is the product, and you like, how much is it? And they say to you, well, how much do you have? You might offer a lot less for the product than what they were wanting to sell it for, right? And it's the same across the board, from small business transactions to huge transactions. Obviously, if you're selling products, the cost of your product is, it cost me X amount of money to make this, therefore I'm trying to sell it at a profit, and this is how much the product costs, and there's no negotiation around that. But that can vary when your product is, let's say, for example, a construction site, and there's so many other variables to consider in that. Or if you're a service-based business, or if you yourself provide a service, and it's like, how much should you pay me as a speaker or a facilitator or a coach, whatever it is, right? So setting the price first allows you to have power at the table, and it's okay for you to set the price at the higher range and leave it to the other person to negotiate for a lower price if they want to come in lower. And that just really means, be confident with the value that you're adding, be confident with what you want and what you want to get out of this, and be confident and comfortable to set that particular price and then negotiate from there. The second thing is speak in definitive numbers and not in ranges, so don't be like, well, it could be worth between this and this, because when you say that, you automatically tell the other person what's the lowest you're willing to go. So if you say, I'm willing to sell this for between 50 and 100, then they know that the lowest they could offer is 50, and they may have been willing to offer 120, right? So instead of speaking to a range, it's really good to speak to a specific price, and say, this is going to be $750 or whatever it is. So that's one really good thing to take in with you to a negotiation at the table. And this is, if you think about if you're negotiating rental, if you go to a person and you say, hey, I want to rent this building for my shop, I'm willing to pay this firm X amount, right? And that's what you say. Because if you think about it, if they come to you and say, well, rent could be between X and X, X and Y, you'll probably choose X because it's lower, right? So be specific around that, and then also be confident. Be confident with what you bring to the table. Be confident in what you have to offer, and be confident with where you stand in this particular deal and this particular negotiation. It's also very important. Don't be desperate, right? So I think for me personally, one of the great advantages going into a negotiation is the ability to walk away. So if you go into a negotiation and you know what your value is, you know what the amount that you want to see is, and that doesn't happen, be willing to walk away. And it's okay to say, hey, thanks for coming to the table to negotiate and bargain and speak with me and engage, but I'm not happy with what's on offer, and so I'm gonna go. And sometimes you're walking away when you don't have another option, and sometimes you might have to do that if you really believe in your business and what it is that you're trying to build, and the potential partners or investors don't see that, and they're offering you a lot less than what you believe your business is worth or what you believe you're worth, and that's fine. But I think negotiating from a place of strength and not desperation is really helpful. Another tip is I think this is tip number 4, is to practice silence, right? And oftentimes when people are nervous, they overspeak, they overshare, and sometimes when you're constantly talking, it just sounds like you're nervous, and that lets the other person know that, hey, maybe this person's a bit on edge and I can take advantage. So practice the art of silence. Generally, I find that silence, because people aren't always silent, silence fills the room and it can make people feel uncomfortable, but silence also gives you the opportunity to feel the energy in the room, to suss out the people, to kind of get a feel for what is happening. And sometimes if people are uncomfortable in the silence, they could drop their price. So you could say, this is the price, take it or leave it. And if they are silent, you might feel like, oh, maybe they want to say no, so I'm going to switch my price. So there's a little bit of psychology in there, and how people feel or think in that silence and how that affects what they do next, right? And then make an effort to ask open-ended questions. So don't necessarily jump in straight into the numbers, but start with asking open-ended questions. Like, what do you want to see out of this? What would you like to achieve? What would be really great for you? What would be a win-win scenario for you? Asking open-ended questions, and then listening very carefully to what the people say, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that is said when a person has free reign to answer question, right? Because if you ask yes no questions, then the person's response will just be yes or no, right? But if you ask an open-ended question, a person could mention something in there that you didn't think about in your initial pitch. That's another area where you can add value, and they happen to mention that when you ask an open-ended question. So that's another thing that you could do. And then finally is that win-win point, right? That the best resolution in any negotiation is a win-win. So don't go in there with an idea to completely annihilate or obliterate the people that you're negotiating with. No, we're starting businesses, we're building businesses, right? You want to create partnerships, you don't want to burn bridges. So even if the negotiation isn't going according to how you thought and it's not going in your favor, that's fine, but you don't want to burn those bridges and burn those relationships, right? So be mindful constantly that you're just trying to move forward with people who are bought into the vision and the idea of what you want to do. And if they're not, then that's fine. They're just simply not aligned, and that's okay. So the best negotiations, the best negotiated resolutions are win-win scenarios. So think about, how do you win in this scenario, but also how do you also manage the other person winning as well? And why that's important is really building, especially with people that you're going into a joint venture with, who are potential partners or investors that you're going to be working with for a long time, is you don't want a disgruntled person on your team, or even if it's a supplier. You don't want a disgruntled supplier that's not going to start, delivering half effort to you, or, half-baked performance to you because you're not happy with the deal. They feel like they got the raw end of the deal. So yes, obviously you want to negotiate terms where you are able to win, but be considerate around how do you make this a win-win situation for both people. But also on the other side of the coin is that sometimes you might feel so grateful that somebody wants to invest in your business or partner with you, whatever it is, that you negotiate the contract so much so that the other person wins a lot more than what you do. And it's important to remember that as an entrepreneur, you're going to have to go execute. It's your business. You're running it every day. You need to get stuff done. So you want to negotiate your terms in such a way that you'll feel good about it when you wake up every day to show up and run your business. You feel good about the terms that were negotiated. You feel good about your particular deliverables and what it is that you have to do, and the deal feels good to you, and you can keep showing up and keep doing the work. And then there's not like, sour grapes and sour relationships. And really what you want to avoid is that situation where it becomes really uncomfortable to just work with people that you have to be with every day. And that's all I have to say on negotiation. So good luck if you're in the process of negotiating stuff. Have conversations with friends and family. If you know somebody who's a really good challenger, who's really good at asking difficult questions, practice negotiating with that person especially if you're somebody who's shy or reserved, or you feel uncomfortable when maybe voices get raised, or when people have like very stern points. Try to have a conversation with somebody like that and get them to help you build your confidence around negotiation. And there's a lot of free videos and tools that you can watch online. And then think about a deal that you perhaps have been circling around a bit. It's been uncomfortable. You haven't been wanting to address it, and be specific about how you're going to set up your negotiation, and think about, what do I want to get out of this? How should I speak to these people? And what are the win-win terms, and go into that discussion ready to negotiate, and to know what your base is, that you refuse to go lower than that, and know what you want to get out of it, so that you know what you're negotiating for. And it really is a skill that needs to be practiced, and the more of it you do, the better at it you get. And there's nothing wrong with negotiation. I really want to highlight that. Like, don't feel uncomfortable when you're in a situation where you have to negotiate. That's how we build businesses, right? So all the best in negotiating favorable terms and conditions across the board in your business. If you want to be part of a community of like-minded people, then head over to our website and join the Social Impact Founders Club. Our MentHer magazine is also launching the Top Social Impact Founders List 2021. So if you want to be featured in our December issue, or if you know a phenomenal woman, then you can also go to our website and nominate yourself or that woman, and we will follow up with them. And we would love to have you on the cover of our magazine and part of that list, celebrating you and the wonderful impact work that you do. See you on the next one. Hi there, if you want to join our Social Impact Founders membership community here at MentHer, which is a global mentorship network supporting female social entrepreneurs, head over to our website, www.menther.co.za. You can also send us an email at info.co.za, and you will receive your free copy of a social impact guide on how to start a business and life of purpose and impact. See you online. Are you a female founder running a social impact business that is aligned to any of the Sustainable Development Goals? Then we are looking for you. Whether your business operates as a non-profit company, a non-profit organization, a for-profit company, a public benefit organization, a cooperative, or any other kind of business, then we are looking for you. Welcome to the inaugural MentHer Social Impact Founders List 2021 that is designed for women who are making an impact through business. Whether you want to nominate yourself or a phenomenal woman that you know, head over to our website at www.menther.co.za and select a phenomenal woman to be featured on our Social Impact Founders List. Entries close November 2021.